Conservative New Media viewers, LA Lakers fans around the world, JLin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss the Lakers' 110-91 beatdown defeat tonight against the Indiana Pacers in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's go over the stats very quickly. Indiana was led by Rodney Stuckey, who had 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. They also got 20 points off the bench from C.J. Miles. Donald Sloan, backup point guard, added 17 points and 6 rebounds himself. David West, 12 points, 9 boards. Roy Hibbert, 10 points, 7 boards. The Lakers were led by Kobe Bryant with 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Kobe had a tough shooting night, shot just 8 of 26 for the game. Nick Young off the bench with 18 points. Carlos Boozer off the bench with 13 points and 10 rebounds. Wesley Johnson, 13 points. Jeremy had 2 points in 17 minutes played. He was 0 of 6 from the field, including 0 of 1 from the three-point line, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 1 turnover, and his plus-minus was a -1. Now, let me quickly go over what was going on before this game, just a little bit of the chatter around the game before I get into more about the game itself. Ramona Shelburne of ESPN wrote a column today about Kobe as, of course, the day after he passed Michael Jordan for number 3 on the all-time scoring list. And she mentioned in there that Kobe is still working on his Showtime documentary, which will be airing, I believe, in February. Now, it was originally going to air in November, but what Shelburne said in the article was that Kobe wanted to say a little bit more, kind of bring people in and reveal more about himself. I believe that the documentary is called Kobe Bryant's Muse, I believe. So in Shelburne's column, Kobe is quoted as saying that in order to be the best, or to strive for greatness, you've got to kind of channel your dark side some. Dark side, like, dark side of the Force in Star Wars or something. I actually tweeted something to Ramona Shelburne and said, well, what about Tim Duncan? Because Tim Duncan has as many championships as Kobe does. He's got 1 more MVP, and he's got 1 more Finals MVP, and the Spurs are still in contention right now, and Duncan has the best advanced stats on the team. She wrote me back and said, well, I'm sure Tim has a dark side too. That's probably, I'm sure there's some truth to that. Tim's a competitive guy. He's just not a real emotional guy, or he doesn't show it very much. And Kobe, in the article, said that Derek Jeter's very competitive, but he doesn't show the dark side much. So is Kobe the only person that's competitive that has a dark side? No, of course not. Michael Jordan has his issues, which Kobe mentioned. He brought up Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame speech, where he kind of showed where some of his real competitiveness comes from and how it can be a little bit ugly. So Kobe's right. Anybody that's really competitive, I'm sure they can relate to that. On the other hand, I don't think you don't have to completely be like that, or you don't necessarily have to be like it as much as Kobe is in order to excel. And like I said, I think Tim Duncan's a good example of that. I don't think you'd see Tim Duncan doing the little trash talking stuff that Kobe was doing in practice the other day. And I certainly don't think that you would see Tim Duncan getting caught up in certain incidences that Kobe has gotten caught up in his career, whether it's rifts with players or stuff off the court or whatever. So I think you can be great in a lot of different ways. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. Now, you have to want to be the best, and you have to be able to dig deep. So in that sense, you kind of need a dark side, but I think that there are variations of that. Not everybody has to kind of fit that mold. Also, let me say quickly, I had to take a phone call, which lasted for quite a long time. So this video is starting late, and this will be the only video of the night. So this will be the long video, and there will be no short video, just to let people know. Now, what happened in this game, and it's unfortunate because yesterday, of course, Kobe passed Michael Jordan for third on the all-time scoring list, but the game wasn't on national television. It was on local television in Time Warner Cable Sportsnet in Los Angeles, and I think Fox Sports North in Minnesota. So this was the first time that a national television audience got to see Kobe after he passed Michael Jordan. And so it was on NBA TV here in the United States, and I'm sure that they were hoping it was going to be a good game. They could kind of talk about Kobe, and it'd be interesting. It'd be a compelling spectacle. Unfortunately, it really wasn't like that. It got a little bit better in the second half, but in the first half, the Lakers got completely annihilated. The score at halftime of this game was 60-27. So the Lakers only scored 27 points in the first half, and they were behind by 33 points at halftime. So pretty much all of the intrigue or interest in this game was gone by that time. And that's pretty much what happened. Now, to give the Lakers credit, they came back very strong in the second half. And I believe they cut the lead down to like 14 or so. So they did come back quite a bit. They had gotten down by as many as 39 points in this game. Give them credit for that. Byron obviously talked to them at halftime, and they had a lot more energy in the second half. And to be fair to the Lakers, they did play last night. The Pacers did not play last night, so they were fresh. The Lakers had to travel, and last night was a big night because Kobe passed Michael Jordan. So it's emotionally draining for the entire team. And they came out and they were as flat as you could possibly be. And then in the second half, the Lakers did make a good run. They really did. But the Pacers were just able to hold them off enough to kind of coast into what turned out to be a very comfortable victory. For Jeremy tonight, the overview is he didn't get to play a bunch of minutes. Later in the game, and even in the second quarter, Byron Scott was using Jordan Clarkson more. I think some of that was the game wasn't particularly competitive, so he wanted to give him a chance just to get some game action. And I think some of it also was the team's tired. This is the last of a 3-game road trip, and guys are tired. They want to rest. And so get some fresh legs out there in Jordan Clarkson, who did not play at all yesterday. And that was it. So that cut into Jeremy's playing time. Jeremy wasn't hitting his shots tonight. I thought his defense was a little meh. It was okay. It was up and down. He was trying hard. I just think his legs were a little bit tired. So there isn't a whole bunch to say for him. There's not a tremendous amount to go over with him because he didn't have a chance to do that much, and he didn't hit any shots. So he was kind of there, although he was trying to guide the team and do what he could. It's just he didn't have it, and really nobody else on the team did either. Okay, so let's quickly go through any particular stuff that happened here in the quarter by quarter, and then I'll just kind of wrap up. Jeremy came into the game with 5 minutes left or thereabouts in the middle of the first quarter. At that point in time, it was already 21-4 for the Indiana Pacers, And one thing that we definitely saw in this game that has been a disturbing trend recently is that the Lakers starters are really struggling. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about the new lineup, and the new lineup's been doing well, and it has in terms of wins and losses. But the starters have been getting fairly consistently outplayed with this new lineup. And what's been happening more often than not is the bench is saving the starters. They're coming in and performing well, and they're performing better than the starters are. And so it's kind of ironic. The new lineup's doing well, but the new starters aren't necessarily doing that great. So I don't know. I guess you take it because the team is winning, but it's that trend is a little bit troubling, I think, in terms of how the starters are performing as compared with the opponent's starters, and that was the case again tonight. Glancing very quickly at the plus-minus statistics, and plus-minus measures when you are on the court, how many points does your team score subtracted by how many points does the other team score. So if the Lakers score 60 points when Wes Johnson's on the court, and the Lakers give up 50 points when Wes Johnson's on the court, then Wes Johnson would be 60 minus 50 plus 10. However, all of the Lakers starters tonight were minus double figures. Ed Davis minus 11, Wes minus 17, Jordan Hill minus 19, Ronnie minus 15, Kobe minus 26. And then you look at the bench, and all of those players are either minus single digits, 0, or plus. So this is another situation where the bench outperformed the starters. And that is something that we're going to have to monitor. It is a consistent trend. Look, it's good to have a solid bench. Absolutely. You need a good bench. But if the bench is coming in and the starters are if you're already down by 10 or 15 points, then that might not be the best starting lineup. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on that going forward. Okay? So Jeremy came in, and one of the first things that was said by the Indiana Pacers broadcasters, because NBA TV was using the Indiana broadcasters at the game, Quinn Buckner, who is the analyst for the Indiana Pacers, the TV analyst, the first thing he said was Jeremy is very good at getting fouls. Like, he's good at drawing fouls, which he is. So Quinn obviously knows Jeremy's game fairly well. Jeremy went to take a charge. He might have been in the restricted area, which is the small little circle that's right below the basket. So what that means, the restricted area is you as a defender cannot be in that area and draw a charge. So if an offensive player runs into you and you are standing in that area, you will not get a foul called against the offensive player. So one of the Pacers was driving to the basket. Lin was near the restricted area. I don't know if he was actually in it. And they hit pretty solidly, and there was no call was made. Not a foul, not a charge either. So they just kind of let it go, and the player missed the play. So he missed the shot. So good. I mean, Jeremy did his job on that thing. He disrupted what the offensive player was trying to do. Then late in the first, Jeremy missed his first two shots. One was a little scoop layup attempt, and then the other one was a three-pointer from about 40 degrees left of the top of the arc. Then Jeremy made a mistake on defense where he overhelped. He went to help on the offensive player that was close to the basket, but he helped too far. And so it allowed C.J. Miles, I believe it was, to get wide open for a three-point shot, and C.J. Miles was able to hit the three-point shot. And I do believe that that was Jeremy's man on that play. The Lakers then went to a zone defense. They were just they weren't doing well with playing man-to-man. And so Byron said, okay, well, let's try zone defense. And unfortunately, that wasn't working too well either. Then Jeremy was called for a foul, which did not look like a foul. It was again on help defense. He went down to help out on Luis Scola, and he was called for a foul, which I thought, again, I didn't think was a foul. Looked like he got all ball trying to strip Luis Scola. Then Jeremy himself was fouled right before the first quarter ended. It was a nice play by him. There was like 3 seconds left, and Jeremy's very fast, and he basically just started dribbling as fast as he could up the right side of the court, and one of the Pacers fouled him, which was a mistake. Jeremy got 2 free throws, and he made both of them. At the end of the first quarter, Indiana was up by 19 points, 34-15. And the first half rout was on. Heading into the second quarter, Jeremy began the second quarter on the court. Then early in the second, he missed his next 2 shots. One was a layup attempt. Jeremy began from the right side of the court, near the paint around the basket. He drove from right to left. He went to do a layup on the left-hand side of the basket with his right hand, but it was blocked. It was a decent idea by Jeremy. What he was trying to do is he knew he had a big man on him. I think there was a switch. Yeah. He had a big man on him because of a switch on defense. And so what you're taught to do as a guard is when you get a big man, try to take him off the dribble, because usually they're not quick enough to stay with you. I can't remember who it was that got switched onto him. It might have been Lavoy Allen. I can't remember. But the defender was able to stay with Jeremy. He did a good job, and what Jeremy tried to do is what is known as using the rim as a shield. So if you have a big player guarding you, a lot of times guards, this is why they'll do like reverse layups. You can't block a shot through the rim. You can't put your arm through the rim. You're not allowed to, and it's difficult to do it even if you could do it. So what Jeremy was trying to do was use the rim as a shield, but the defender made a better play, and he blocked the shot, and that was that. Then Jeremy missed a jump shot from about the top of the key area. So at this point, he was 0 for 4. Then I made a note to myself, and I said that I thought Jeremy was not passing quite enough. Thought that he was shooting a little too quickly and not passing the ball as much as he could have, playing the point guard role in this system, because I know that Byron likes ball movement, and he kind of likes the point guard to pass the ball a little bit more, unless the point guard is Kobe, and Kobe's basically able to do whatever he wants to do, and that's okay. But I know Byron wants Jeremy to move the ball a little bit more. So just taking that into consideration, I was like, well, he could be doing more of that right now. So I just kind of made a note to myself about that. And to be fair to Jeremy, once again, I'm only talking about Jeremy's negatives because I'm focused on him. I could go through every single player on the roster and talk about the negatives they had. I just don't focus on them as much. So Jeremy, I will talk about his positives, and I will talk about his negatives just because he's the one I'm keyed in on. The truth is that most of the players on the Lakers tonight, I thought were, well, Jeremy and Nick Young for sure, and in my opinion, were putting up a lot of shots. particularly, I think Nick probably put up even more. It was kind of like tonight wasn't share the ball. It was more like I'm going to get mine. That's what it felt like watching the game. And so not everybody did it, but I thought a number of the players did that and played like that tonight. It's just they're tired. They weren't doing well. And so it takes a lot less energy to move the ball around and move on offense. And you can it's easier to just go up and shoot your own shot. So I think there was a lot of that happening tonight. Okay, then I put that Nick Young is forcing shots. So Jeremy took a couple shots, then Nick wanted to get his shots. And I put Nick as playing point guard so that he can take his own shots. So it's kind of like Jeremy and Nick alternated a bit, and both of them weren't passing a whole bunch, but they were shooting a bunch. So that's kind of what I noticed. One of the other things I noticed about Jeremy in this game that I thought was good was that he was trying to get offensive rebounds. Usually a guard will make particularly a point guard, because a point guard is often he's the first person back on defense. He's responsible for getting back first. So a point guard has to make a conscious decision if they want to try to get offensive rebounds. Like they have to say, okay, I'm going to do this rather than get back on defense. And Jeremy was trying to do that tonight, and I mean that in a positive way. I think he knew the Lakers couldn't hit a shot. They just were way off on their shots tonight. So he's like, well, okay, I'm going to see if I can grab some rebounds and give us some more shots. So I was encouraged that he was doing that. He wasn't super effective in this game, but he was trying hard. He put out a lot of energy in what he was doing on both ends. Then Jeremy had his first and only turnover of the game. I saw it when it happened, but I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if he got stripped of the ball. I think he got stripped of the ball, dribbling on the left-hand side of the court, but I can't remember right now. It could have been a bad pass. I don't remember right now. Okay. Right after that, the Lakers were down 41-17. So they were already down 24 points, and Byron Scott called a timeout with 7 minutes and 45 seconds left. They just couldn't do anything, and everything that the Pacers did was working. I then made a note that says work, and I put Jeremy must continue to work on his defense. The reason why Jeremy is sometimes looked upon as a bench player by coaches is because they're concerned about his defense. And look, Jeremy is a much better defensive player than he's given credit for, as most Lin fans know that. I'm not telling you anything there. And this is based upon advanced statistics, etc. But because of the way he's built and his physical strengths and weaknesses, for him, he has to really concentrate and focus on defense for him to be effective. Whereas some guys that have more lateral foot speed going side to side, they don't have to work as hard. But for Jeremy, he really has to work hard to be effective. So he just has to keep working on it. I mean, he's never going to change. He can never completely change his genetics and his athletic pluses and minuses, but he's just got to keep working on it. I think that's part of the reason why he lost the weight. Just be quicker, have less stress on the knees, be able to move faster. But it's just something he has to keep dealing with, and also find the right situation in terms of coaches that are. If you have a coach like Mike D'Antoni, he is more of an offensive coach. He's more likely to bench you if you're poor at offense than if you're poor at defense. So some coaches are the opposite of that, And I would say that Kevin McHale and Byron Scott are much more defensive-oriented coaches. So, again, I'm not saying Jeremy can't play defense because he can play defense. It's just that he plays a high-energy game. Jeremy plays at a fast pace. And so you only have so much energy. You can't expend it all out on both ends, game in and game out. There's not enough energy for that. I think that's part of the reason why Jeremy struggles on back-to-backs, because he plays such a demanding style of basketball that he needs a rest afterwards. Sometimes he needs a rest during the game because it's extremely grueling the way that he plays. So he can keep working on that. He can work on that in conditioning and work at playing at a slower speed and so on. It's just going to take him more time to be able to accumulate the skills that he needs to be able to do that successfully. And he's getting there, but it's still going to take some time, in my opinion. Okay, then Quinn Buckner said, and I put this out on Twitter, Kobe had just checked back into the game for Jeremy with 6 minutes and 57 seconds left in the second half. And again, the Lakers were down big. Quinn Buckner, again, the Indiana Pacers television analyst, said that he felt that Kobe Bryant's practice trash-talking session was staged, or that it was premeditated. And so basically, and he wasn't putting Kobe down when he said that. He just meant like he thought that Kobe had it in his head that he was going to do something to try to get the team's attention. I agree with Quinn Buckner, and I've said this already. I thought that Kobe did that partly because the cameras were there and he knew they were there. But I don't think it was a spontaneous thing. I think that Kobe had it in his head he was going to do something like that. And again, that's not, if it works, it doesn't matter if it's staged or not. And to be fair to Kobe, it did work because the team was able to go out and beat the Spurs. So, I mean, something worked. So it doesn't matter to me whether Kobe knew he was going to do it or not. But to be fair, and what Quinn Buckner was saying, I do think that Kobe knew he was going to do it. I do think Kobe wanted to do something to get the attention of the team and to get the attention of the media. And that's what he did. And so I agree with Quinn Buckner about that. Okay, then Kobe was put on defense against C.J. Miles, who was really doing well. Kobe is not, he's not the defender he used to be, given his age and his mileage and the injuries that he suffered. But the best way to use Kobe, the most you can get out of him on defense is to have him guard the man with the ball. Where Kobe really struggles on defense, and honestly, he struggled with it when he was younger and healthy, is on help defense or off-the-ball defense, because he can kind of drift and kind of save his energy. But if you put him against the man guarding the ball, then usually he's competitive, and that's when he'll give maximum effort. And when he does give maximum effort, he's good. So I thought that was an intelligent move by Byron Scott. I don't know if it did a whole bunch at that particular moment, but I think it was an intelligent move by Byron Scott. Now, at this point in the game, and this was still middle of the second quarter, the Lakers were only 4 of 31 shooting from the field. So what that means is they only hit about 1 out of every 8 shots. I mean, they just couldn't hit anything. And again, the Indiana couldn't miss anything. And so right now, we were at the point where Indiana was up 48-17. They were up 31 points here. Then Jordan Clarkson came into the game as well. So this was a time where Byron did not go back to Ronnie Price. He instead, I don't think he did anyway. It's possible Ronnie could have been in the game, but I don't think he was at that time. And I think what Byron was thinking there is what I said earlier. Get some fresh legs. The game's kind of out of control. So let's let Jordan play and see what he can do. And Jordan did okay. I mean, he had some moments. He didn't do anything spectacular tonight, but he needs to get some playing time because as good as the 3-game winning streak was, this team's probably still going to have a lot of difficulties this year. So it is a good idea to get Jordan some playing time and let him develop somewhat. Okay, then Kobe made a mistake on defense and he was upset. I think Kobe was mad because they were getting beaten so bad, and this game was on national TV. And he knows that last night and today there's been a bunch of stories about him passing Michael Jordan. I believe he himself wrote a piece for the Derek Jeter Athlete's Voice or whatever it's called website. And Kobe doesn't want to go out and look bad on his first national TV appearance in a game after he passed Jordan. Everybody's focused on him. So he was upset. But soon after a timeout, then Kobe made a mistake on defense where he overhelped. He went down to try to help out, double team the low post man. The ball got kicked out to C.J. Miles, and C.J. Miles hit a 3. So, again, Jeremy's not the only one that makes these mistakes. They do happen. Okay, and then late in the second quarter, I could see that Indiana was starting to double team Kobe. They were basically forcing him to pass. Say, okay, Kobe, you can shoot and you can score. Let's see who else can score. And the strategy worked fairly well because really nobody on the Lakers could shoot or score particularly well tonight, including Kobe. So, as I mentioned, halftime 60-27 for the Pacers. But things would get better for the Lakers in the third quarter. The Lakers began the third quarter, and they clearly had more defensive intensity than they did in the first half. And Quinn Buckner, the analyst, mentioned that that's something you can do with Ronnie Price in the game. I think Ronnie, so far this year, has been a better defender than Jeremy at a number of times. And Ronnie's a guy that's good playing the man with the ball, and he can help. He can put some pressure on the ball handler. And so this is the Lakers were starting to use that and kind of double team and trap a little bit more. They really were attacking the Pacers from a defensive perspective, kind of taking it to the Pacers offense. And it was working. It started working. They made a quick 8-0 run, which brought the lead down to it was still 27 points, but it had been 39 points, so they were starting to kind of chip away at it. Then Kobe was starting to get upset with foul calls that he did not get, but he wanted to get. So soon after that, he fouled one of the Pacers, and then Kobe said something to the referee, which got him a technical foul. And you could kind of see that coming when it happened. Then Ronnie made a nice play where he forced an Indiana turnover, which turned into some quick Lakers points. And by the middle of the third, the lead was down to 23 points. So the Lakers had chipped away a significant portion. They had cut 10 points off the lead since halftime, and the momentum of the game had changed. You could see that the Pacers were starting to get tight, and the Lakers were starting to feel good. And it kept going. So then I made a note, Ronnie Price is giving problems to C.J. Watson. He was playing good defense on C.J. Then the lead was down to 75-53, still middle of the third, so 22-point lead, more of the Indiana advantage cut. Ronnie then, heading into late in the third, Ronnie hit a three-pointer. That cut the lead down to just 19 points, so it looked like we might we might actually start to get a game here after blowout city. The Lakers had cut the lead down by 20 points not from halftime, but from the worst of it in the second quarter. And it was starting to get interesting there. Then the announcer said that the Lakers' 27 points in the first half was the lowest for any team in the NBA this season. So that gives you a sense of just exactly where it was. Then after that point, after the lead got cut down to just 19 points, then the Pacers themselves went on a little bit of a surge. And heading into the end of the third quarter, they got the lead back up to 29 points. So they put 10 more points back on the lead in the last 4 minutes, basically, of the third quarter. Also, Byron made few substitutions in the third quarter. He stayed with the guys most of the time because they were doing well. I know Carlos Boozer came in the third, and somebody else came in as well. Jeremy did not play any time in the third quarter. And I give Byron credit here because he stayed with the hot lineup rather than doing set timed rotations, which is what he was doing earlier in the season. You have to have some flexibility, and he did show that here, and I give him credit for that. It did work for a bit there. Okay, heading into the fourth quarter, Jeremy began the fourth quarter on the court. It was bench team then, Jeremy, Nick Young, Wayne Ellington, Carlos Boozer, and Robert Sacre. I then put nice defense from Jeremy. So the bench unit now is trying to keep the defensive intensity that the starters had showed in the third quarter. So Jeremy was working very hard. I mean, guys were diving on the floor, all of this. Then they showed a picture of Kobe, and you could see that he was upset sitting on the bench. Again, I'm sure this isn't the script that was in Kobe's head about the game after he passed Michael Jordan. So then Jeremy had a tough defensive play where Donald Sloan got a nice little teardrop shot over him, kind of a floater type of thing. Then I put Donald Sloan scores again, although I do not think that was against Jeremy. Then I put Nick Young is hogging the ball. He won't pass the ball. And as I said, I think, to be fair to Nick, I do think he felt he wanted to try to take over the game. He wanted to be, okay, I'm going to start scoring, and we're going to really get this down. But it wasn't working. He was just missing. So it was kind of like, should be passing the ball a little bit more. Okay, then they showed Kobe. The Lakers were starting to make a little push, and they showed Kobe kind of cheering on the group and kind of exhorting them to play defense. Soon after, also middle of the fourth, Jeremy had his first assist of the game and also his final assist of the game. Passed the ball to Carlos Boozer for about a 17-foot jump shot. That cut the lead down to 23 points, so the Lakers were making another little run here. Then I put a note that Donald Sloan is trying to go hard at Jeremy. When Donald Sloan was on offense and Jeremy was playing defense, Donald got it into his head, as we've seen other players in the past, hey, Jeremy's guarding me, and I can easily beat him. So Donald was trying all kinds of little isolation, one-on-one moves, etc. Some of them worked, some of them did not work. But I think in general, the Pacers were mostly feeling good about themselves, although the lead was beginning to slip away from them. Okay, then Jeremy drew a foul on one of the Pacers. Jeremy was in position for a defensive rebound, and one of the Pacers went over his back, basically knocked him out of position from behind, which you're not allowed to do. You have to go up vertically in rebounding situations. Jeremy came out of the game for Jordan Clarkson with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. And at this point, the Lakers were making a bit of a run. And this was the time when I went to Twitter and put the message, I don't think Jeremy Lin's going to be around the team next year. Now, I'll talk more about that in a bit, but it was like every bench player was on the court then except for Jeremy. Now, to be fair, Jordan Clarkson does have fresh legs. He is a little bit bigger than Jeremy is. He is a little bit more athletic in terms of quickness than Jeremy is, and quickness of movements and defense. I get it, but it still is like, well, why don't you put him in for somebody else? Now, of course, they probably wanted Jordan to play point guard, and that's what he did, but it still was kind of like, Jeremy's the only guy being dissed here, basically. That's what it felt like in terms of watching it. Okay? And the Lakers were trying to pick up their defensive pressure. They were still trying to pressure really, really, really hard. And they did cut the lead down to 14 points with only about a minute or so left in the game. So you give them credit. They did make a run there at the end, which is the closest that they would get. But the Pacers kind of held off, hit some free throws, and we got our final score of 110-91. So let's just summarize things here, kind of clean up the what's left over after the game. Robin Lundberg, who is a ESPN radio personality, I believe, in New York City, and he's also a fan of Jeremy and is a defender of Jeremy. He was tweeting with some of us after the game, and he was saying, like, yeah, probably best if, I think he was saying it might be best if Jeremy goes to a different team, where this isn't really a good system, and et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people were agreeing with him on that. One of the things I also mentioned on Twitter at that time was that it's possible the Lakers could trade Jeremy. We've discussed this before. Jeremy has a a medium-sized contract that is expiring. And a lot of teams like that because then they get to get somebody and then they get to get rid of the contract. So they have a bunch of room freed up for the upcoming free agency period. So that's possible. It is possible. I didn't think they were going to do that before. But after watching kind of how Jeremy was handled tonight and just that he's been a little bit demoted or whatever you want to call it, maybe they will do it. And it's possible that could work out best for Jeremy. We'll see. LA is a good spot for him. It's a good city for him to play in. But with the Lakers, the way they're constructed right now, with Kobe on the team, and with Byron Scott coaching the team, and the offensive system that Byron Scott uses, there are better situations, I would imagine, for Jeremy in the NBA. Now, I'm not telling Jeremy what to do. I know he likes LA. I know he likes being in California. The Lakers are a great franchise. So he might not want to go anywhere. And I'm not going to fault him if he decides to stay in LA. My ideal scenario would be Jeremy leaves the team for a year or two and then comes back once Byron Scott is potentially not coaching and once Kobe retires. Is that realistic? I don't know. And if Jeremy decides this summer that he signs a 2-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks, then it could be realistic because then he'll in 2 years he can go back to LA. Will it happen? I don't know. I can understand if Jeremy just wanted to stay in LA now, even if the situation isn't perfect for his development as a player for this year and next year or so. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I did feel when they put Clarkson in and Lin was the only bench guy that wasn't in, it was kind of like, well, maybe he needs to go just for himself. We'll find out. We'll see what happens for the rest of the season. And as I mentioned earlier, the new starting lineup is now 3-2. The losses were against the Pelicans and tonight's game, and they beat, of course, San Antonio, Sacramento, San Antonio, and then the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. Now, that's good. I mean, a 3-2 record is certainly better than their 8-17 overall record. However, 2 of those games against Sacramento and against Minnesota came against teams that are not good and that are missing players. Sacramento, of course, was missing DeMarcus Cousins, and Minnesota was missing several players: Ricky Rubio, Nikola Pekovic, Kevin Martin, and a number of other players. The win over the Spurs was great. That's the best win of the season. So you can't take anything away from that. Even again, if I said that the bench was outperforming the starters. But I think the wins over Sacramento and Minnesota are a little bit, they won the game, but the situations and the teams being injured, it might not be as great as it looked at the time. But still, the team needs any wins they can get. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. Byron said he's going to play with this lineup for 15 or 20 games. So we'll just have to see how it continues to develop as the games go forward from here. Okay, that's about it. There's, as I mentioned, there's not a tremendous amount to say about Jeremy in the game because he didn't play that much, and there's nothing he did that was spectacular in this game. And he had good company with the rest of the Lakers in that regard. This was pretty much a scheduled loss. You have a team coming off. This is the 3rd game of a 3-game road trip. Last night was an emotional game. They played hard. They won. And tonight they were just tired. They were tired. They were emotionally drained from Kobe passing Jordan. And this is what you get. And this happens all the time in the NBA. And tonight was the Lakers' night to have that kind of, yeah, we'll show up and we'll play, but there's a really good chance we're going to lose because of the way that the schedule is set up. And I think that was a big factor in what happened tonight. Okay, we want to thank Gary Chen for the artwork you're looking at right now. Gary is a blogger and artist in Taiwan. He is also a member of the Jeremy Only Lin Garden fan club. We appreciate Gary letting us use his work. We also appreciate everything that we've done with the Jeremy Only Lin Garden group of people, who's an awesome group of people, the number of members that we've corresponded with and that have helped us out with translations. So we just appreciate Gary and Jeremy Only Lin Garden. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. What are you thinking about this game? What are you thinking about where Jeremy is at? Do you think he's going to stick around the Lakers? Do you think he might get traded? If he gets traded, where might he get traded to? A number of us have discussed good situations for Jeremy. I think Dallas is a great situation. That might be the best situation in terms of good coaching, good offensive system, good team, etc. I could also see Jeremy on the Spurs, and I have to think about it a little bit more. Those 2 teams stand out to me, so we'll see what you guys think. We'll put information in the video description below the video player so you can check out highlights of this game, so you can learn more about Gary Chen. Check him out on Facebook. Also, information so you can come and follow us on Twitter, come and talk with us, and how you can join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, which has over 3,500 members and growing. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Now, the next game coming up will be Friday, December 19th. So the team has off the next 3 days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and here in the United States, they will be resting, traveling home. And then they will face the resurgent Oklahoma City Thunder. That game will take place in Los Angeles, California at Staples Center. And it will be on at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And it will be carried on ESPN television in the United States. That's going to be a tough game. Oklahoma City is looking very good right now. They have finally gotten mostly healthy. They still have some guys out with injuries, I believe, but Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are back. Durant is not up to 100% yet, but Russell Westbrook looks great, and Durant still looks pretty darn good. So that's going to be a challenging game for the Lakers. It's going to be real challenging, and it would be challenging no matter who starts or who comes off the bench. The Thunder, if they are healthy, is one of the most talented teams in the NBA, if not the most talented. That doesn't mean they're the best, but in terms of pure talent, they're right up near the top, if not at the very top. So it would be incredible if the Lakers were able to win that game, and we'll see. Hopefully they can pull it off. That would be a great, great victory. We'll have to wait until Friday to find out how that one plays out. It is 11:41 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States on Monday, December 15th, 2014. That means it is 12:41 p.m. on Tuesday, December 16th, currently in Taipei, Taiwan. Hope everybody's having a great night, a great day, wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Saying happy early holidays to everybody. And as I mentioned, I will probably be taking off 4 games from the 23rd until the 28th. As I said that before, and I might make a video just specifically about that so that people know that before it happens. They will be playing during that time Golden State, Chicago, Dallas, and Phoenix. It's about a week's time, and I'm going to be going and visiting family for the holidays and such. So I hope everybody is having good holiday season so far and enjoying it and having time with their families. It's a great time of the year. So that is it for now. Not a great outing for anybody on the team, including Jeremy, but let's just get back to LA, settle in, get ready for the game on Friday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's nothing really to say about this game. The Lakers just were tired, and the Pacers pounced on them, and that's just what it was. So hopefully Jeremy and the rest of the guys will be more physically and mentally ready to go on Friday night when they play the Thunder. So that is it for now. Take care. We will talk to you again soon. We'll look for you on Twitter and in the comments of this video. Until then, have a great evening or morning wherever you are, and we will talk to you again soon.